I mean, U.S. officials have been warning about Iran's cyber capabilities for years now. And after the U.S. struck Iran last year, back in June, Trump was repeatedly warned by his own agencies that one of the primary ways Iran could strike back against the U.S. was through a cyber attack. Trump's Department of Homeland Security warned about it, as did CISA, the NSA, the Department of Defense, and the FBI. And nearly a year ago, all 5 of those agencies warned Trump about the danger of cyber attacks from Iran. But despite those warnings, Trump cut more than 1,000 jobs at CISA, our country's top cybersecurity agency. Well, guess what the Trump administration started doing this week after they cut 1,000 CISA jobs and started a war with a country known for cyber attacks? Well, they announced plans to hire 300 more people at CISA. Oh, you need those guys after all? Who could have predicted that one? Maybe anyone. Tomorrow marks 1 month of Trump's war with Iran. And one of the defining features of this war so far has been the combination of how predictable Iran's responses have been, and also how seemingly unprepared the Trump administration has been in handling those responses. I mean, just take, for example, a few of the warnings that Trump's top military advisor, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, reportedly gave Trump before he attacked Iran. The Wall Street Journal reported that before the U.S. went to war, General Kane told Trump that an American attack could prompt Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz. Trump reportedly said that he thought Tehran would capitulate before closing the strait, and that even if Iran tried, the U.S. military, they could handle it. Well, now the strait has been closed for nearly a month, strangling the global supply of everything from oil to fertilizer to key components used in computer chips and prescription drugs. Another thing Trump's top general, Dan Kane, reportedly warned Trump about before the war was that it could lead to shortfalls in critical munitions, warning that there were so many military targets in Iran, trying to actually make a dent would deplete already low stockpiles. Well, guess what the Washington Post reported today? The U.S. has already fired more than 850 Tomahawk cruise missiles in this war, burning through the weapons at a rate that is alarming to some Pentagon officials. And just to put that in perspective, recent versions of Tomahawk missiles cost as much as $3.6 million apiece, take up to 2 years to build. Only a few hundred are manufactured every year. But we have already used more than 850 in 4 weeks. Another thing Trump's top military advisor reportedly warned him about before he started this war was that a lack of support from our allies would add significant risk to the operation and to U.S. personnel. And last week, Trump called on our allies to help guard ships as they passed through the Strait of Hormuz. Most refused. Trump was reportedly furious, irate. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham even said that he had never heard Trump so angry in his life. Then seemingly, I guess to save face, Trump insisted that actually the U.S. didn't need any help after all, which is clearly not the case. I mean, take the fact that just today, Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was in France meeting with allies of ours that have not sent warships to the strait, trying to convince them to join us. Who could have predicted that our allies might not want to rush into a war with Iran? Who could have predicted that an all-out war with Iran would dangerously deplete our nation's munitions? Who could have predicted that Iran would shut down the Strait of Hormuz? And who could have predicted that Iran would respond with cyber attacks? The answer is anybody with knowledge of the region and any military expertise. The reason the president has the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the reason they have top advisors, is to warn them, to play out, to red team the consequences of their actions as they're making decisions, to help them understand what the impact of their decisions will be. Now, I should note that after all that reporting came out about Dan Kane having warned Trump about how disastrous a war with Iran could be, Trump denied it, said it was fake news, and said that Kane actually thought a war with Iran would be, quote, easily won. Now, is that what General Kane actually thought? We don't know. But given all those warnings, I seriously doubt it. And now there's new reporting revealing that many within the White House are just going along to get along, despite their own reservations about this war. Current and former White House officials spoke to MS Now's Jake Traylor about disagreements they had with how the administration was approaching the war with Iran. And while those current and former White House officials felt fine disagreeing with the White House anonymously in the press, they said that they do not share those same opinions within the walls of the White House for fear of negative repercussions. One former White House official saying, quote, so many people are afraid of being on the outs that they are just drinking the Kool-Aid and going along with it. Well, that's a dangerous situation, to state the obvious. In other words, the emperor has no clothes, but his aides are saying his clothes look great anyway. Except it's, of course, not Trump's outfit we're talking about here. It's a war. Now, in another gobsmacking quote, this one from a senior White House official, a current senior White House official, that is, told MS Now that Trump is, quote, getting a little bored with Iran. It's not that he regrets it, this official said. He's just bored and wants to move on. Just to put that, keep that in your mind, with the fact that human rights groups believe that nearly 1,500 civilians have been killed in Iran so far. 13 U.S. service members have been killed to date. More than 300 U.S. troops have been injured. And tonight, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that even more are injured, writing that 10 U.S. service members were wounded in an attack on a Saudi airbase. 2 of them were described as seriously wounded. I wonder if Donald Trump is still bored. I wonder.